side, which is usually a kind of look at me, I won, and he seems kind of ready to go. So, yeah, Primal Groudon against Zoroark. It's going to be an interesting one. Oh, and he gets the Wobbuffet start. That is the perfect starting Pokemon. He gets Regirock, and he gets the Turn 1 Tropical Beach. I mean, as long as... Oh, Groudon plus Energy would just be an unparalleled start. That's all you need. Wobbuffet, Beach, Groudon, Energy. Literally perfect.
Absolutely. This really couldn't have gone too much better for him. Like you said, just the Groudon would have been the only difference. But what's interesting is that you've got Alex Schemanske playing Scramble Switch as his ace spec. So even attaching to that Regirock is still going to be a powerful one. Speaking of Scramble Switch, we see it right off the top there with that Puzzle of Time as he looks at 3 cards. So you know that even attached to that Regirock, that energy could quickly move right onto the Groudon to set up a new hand.
And he just plays a Professor Sycamore there. He's grabbing himself a new hand of 7. Annoyingly, he had to discard a Tropical Beach, which could be awkward if Robert gets rid of a Tropical Beach in play. Oh, and we saw there a great play from Alex, a slightly risky play. Chose not to attach the energy to Regirock, but it paid off beautifully because now he does have the energy on that Groudon. And as much as you can scramble switch from a Regirock to a Groudon, you'd much rather scramble switch from an almost KO'd Groudon to a clean Groudon.
Perfect. Now on Roberto's side, we do of course see the Tapu Lele coming down. Ideal start from him as well. So both players kicking it off pretty well. So definitely getting some of their ideal cards, being able to pull out a Bridget for themselves. Another interesting thing was Alex, when he played that Sycamore, he did discard 2 Puzzle of Time. So those were 2 out of his 4 already gone. But it was interesting to see that he made the Sycamore call because looking at the top 3 with the first one, he saw the Groudon there that he was going to want. So he said, hey, I'm going to risk it, hope there's another energy in these top cards so that I can make this the ideal start since I already have the Tropical Beach and everything else I need anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it couldn't have gone any better for Alex there. It really is the perfect start. Roberto here, he's played himself the Tapu Lele. We saw him put the Bridget to the front of his deck, and you've got to think this is, I mean, most decks nowadays are turn 1 Bridget, but especially this. Oh, he has played the Bridget, my apologies. It's on the field. And 2 Rockruff and a Zorua. This is quite good. He knows that Alex is not going to be taking a KO in the first couple of turns. That's not what Groudon does. So what Roberto said here is, I want a mixture, 2 Zorua, 2 Rockruff. This gives me the options going forward in the last couple of turns, and it's going to be okay. He's setting up quite nicely here, and he's basically got everything he needs. Except an energy. It looks like he whiffed the energy.
Well, I mean, at the same time, I'm not really so sure I would be putting energies there. One thing we also see from Alex is see those enhanced hammers. He's actually got 3 of them. So he's really going to make quick work of Roberto's energies every time they see play because he's only got 2 basic fighting and 4 double colorless. So not a whole lot to be working with when your opponent's playing 3 enhanced hammer and Puzzles of Time to put them back into your hand if you really want to. And even a Bunnelby that can put the Puzzles of Time back. So if you want to, you can really put some damage there.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the way to go. It's very, very nice from him. Now, Alex here, we see him playing the Corinna, and looks like he went for a Professor's Letter there, grabbing himself his single copy of Psychic Energy and a Fighting Energy for the Groudon, and we see the Primal Evolution there. It ends his turn, but that's fine. He was never going to attack anyway, and we see Roberto's deck very focused on Special Energy, so what does Alex get? Assault Vest.
Yep. And it's kind of like, it's really interesting here. From Roberto's side, you know, you'd think, oh man, what a great opening. He's got 2 Zeroas, he's got two Rockruffs on the bench, can use Bloodthirsty Eyes, can use Trade, but the problem is, and wow, we see a big mistake to start the game for a play that's very interesting from Roberto Lazada. He actually plays Guzma on the Regirock with Ancient Trait, but because it can't be affected by trainers and supporters and things like that, it actually has no effect, and unfortunately, it wastes his supporter and his Guzma for the turn.
And the supporter does get played, it just gets played for no effect, which is why we saw the discard. Alex said very quickly, I love that Regirock. And he's now got free energy on his Groudon, and this is everything he wants. Yeah. He's got the Wobbuffet in the active, he's got free energy on the Primal Groudon, and he's got the Assault Vest. Talking about the energy a minute ago, every time I'm playing Zorua, I just want, oh, Rockruff, sorry, I want 1 energy on the Rockruff to set up that GX attack. But of course, you've got to draw the basic fighting to do that, and he clearly didn't.
And what's interesting here is, again, those Wobbuffets. Alex's board is already in that perfect lock scenario that Groudon wants to set up. The only thing on his bench are Wobbuffets and things that have the Ancient Trait. So there is no physical way that Roberto could break by Barricade Lock and use his trade-in, use his Lycanroc abilities, and when your deck plays very low draw supporter counts, like a lot of these Zoroarks are, sometimes you even see nothing but 2 Cores and an N. you could really see Roberto just kind of sitting here for a while.
Yeah, I mean, that's a wonderful point. We see him playing the Mallow here just to make sure he gets something next turn, but Mallow's not really for doing that. Mallow is to put 2 cards on top of your deck, so you trade and draw both of them, and you basically get to search for any 2 cards. Using it just to set up for next turn, not what Mallow is designed to do, and it's an excellent point. These decks are built to get turn 1 Bridget. They play a heavy Bridget count, heavy Tapu Lele count, and the theory is very simple. I am going to get Zoroark, so I don't need draw supporters. But then when Zoroark gets taken away, he's going to get trade back. When Alex has a 4 energy Groudon already up and running, and it's kind of a little bit too late at that point.
Right. And especially with the Assault Vest, Alex has both Assault Vest and a copy of Focus Sash. So even if Roberto were to pull something off to try to take a one-shot with something like Bloodthirsty Eyes, Alex is really going to try to make it difficult so that he doesn't ever really have that option when that Groudon comes into play. The only other thing that we would really want to see from Alex is he's going to see eventually another Groudon come down, and it's going to be interesting because that'll be Roberto's shot to be able to pull up that Groudon with a Guzma or something similar right before it Primal evolves with that one-turn window.
Indeed, I'm just looking at the bench here. Alex could afford to bench another Pokemon. Of course, you got Dangerous Rogue GX. It does 50 damage for every Pokemon on your opponent's bench. With a Choice Band, that goes up to 230, which isn't enough. With a Professor Kukui, it would be, but I don't believe Robert's playing one. And even if he does, he's got to draw into it at the right time. So I feel quite confident in Alex's board position here. He's had the start he wants to have. Had he started with his single Buneary or his single Oricorio, that gives a target for Bloodthirsty Eyes for Guzma to turn off Wobbuffet's ability, turn on Zoroark's ability. As it stands at the moment, I love that basic fighting, like I said a minute ago. Other than that, Alex really is getting everything he wants this game.
Absolutely. Putting that extra Groudon down will just be that last moment and everything there. I think, you almost want to be as a Groudon player, maybe try to find maybe an N or something like that to play with the Groudon, so that way in case Roberto put maybe a Guzma or something on top with Mallow or a VS Seeker, just finding ways of making sure you keep your options open and everything like that. Because Alex has time. He doesn't really have to worry about anything. Roberto can't even necessarily one-shot the Wobbuffet without a full bench, which he just got to that point, but he's going to have to evolve the active Zero into a second Zoroark, find a DC that's just going to go down to Enhance Hammer, and all it's really going to do is take out one Wob, and another one's going to come right back up to take its place.
See, I wouldn't even be too upset if I was Alex, because let's say Roberto does KO the Wobbuffet. Well, as long as Alex has a basic energy, well, in comes Primal Groudon, gets a very easy KO, and then goes up 2 prizes to 1, and still has the better board position. So Roberto's in an awkward position. Even if he does get a KO on Wobbuffet, I'm not sure how much that actually helps him.
I can't really say that it's going to do a whole lot in this situation. Don't know that it'll really get him too far, like you were saying. That basic energy is really going to be the one thing that he's got going for him, but otherwise he's just going to be kind of sitting,
And the numbers really work for Alex here as well, because with a Stadium in play to discard, Alex is doing 200 damage with Primal Groudon. Well, unlike a lot of these 210 HP Pokemon, like Zoroark, like Golisopod, Lycanroc actually has 200. That is not ideal, because it means that Primal Groudon can afford to play stuff like Assault Vest without having to worry about getting that extra damage multiplication. So it's going to be very difficult for Roberto here, because his double colourless energy are getting rid of by those Enhanced Hammer, and Alex's Primal Groudon gets a one-hit KO on any GX on Roberto's field. So the play for Roberto really needs to be to get set up faster than Alex, and Wobbuffet is the whole reason why that's not happening. Wobbuffet start as soon as Alex turns over that Wobbuffet, the game instantly shifts very strongly in his favour right at the beginning. Now, we do see Roberto does have the double colourless now, which is nice, so he is going to be able to get the KO on Wobbuffet. Question is, has Alex found that 4th energy?
It looks like not yet, but I think he can just kind of play the waiting game at this point. Doesn't really need to go in just yet. You see, he's got the Enhance Hammer, so he can just say, let's plop it off, make him use more resources. I've got another Wobbuffet, I can send a few of these up. Something I like to see from the Groudon side a lot of the times is when that Primal Groudon comes up is a very ideal scenario to put down the other Groudon on the bench, because you don't really want to Guzma the Groudon on the bench when you've already got a Primal Groudon active anyways.
No, I agree with that one. What I really like about Alex, you're right, he's playing the long game. He's basically saying, okay, Roberto, for every double colourless energy you draw into, you can have 1 prize. but then I'm getting rid of that double colorless energy. So it's not just that he's going to be bringing up the Primal Groudon. He knows that it can be 2-hit KO'd by a Zoroark, and he doesn't have a spare one ready to go. So he's letting Roberto take those KOs, getting rid of all the energy, and then going, by the time I actually bring this Primal Groudon active, you're not even going to have any energy, and I'm just going to win in 3 turns.
And you see there, he even got to use his Zero Sick, didn't even have to waste one of the Enhance Hammer. He said, I'm not really using my supporter for the turn, might as well take this Zero Sick down, put it in the discard pile for Via Seeker or Puzzle of Time later. Now he's kind of trying to figure out, well, do I give him finally that out to be able to use Trade or Bloodthirsty Eyes? Because, with this Bunnelby in my hand, because this could be the awkward spot where if Roberto does draw another double colorless energy, you're forcing the Groudon up, and like you said, Alex doesn't have the 4th energy just yet.
I believe he has a Professor Sycamore in hand. I might have misseen it. I think he's got a supporter, but he's also got a lot of resources. So even if he does have a Sycamore, even if he doesn't and he top decks one, he's going to be getting rid of a lot of stuff in order to get it. And looking again, I don't actually see it there. So this might be Roberto's play here. It might just be that if he can keep drawing the double colorless and Alex keeps whiffing those fighting energy, because I said, as long as Alex gets 4 energy on a Primal Groudon, well, he hasn't. He doesn't have 4 energy on a Primal Groudon.
Now, we saw computer shirts there from Roberto, so that does take his A-Spec out of commission, but it does put another double colorless in play. You see another Enhance Hammer in Alex's hand, and there's that Sycamore you were wondering about. So let's see if this is going to be the moment where he tries to go for the energy.
So I didn't see a Sycamore in his hand, but I was kind of looking into the future. So I'm giving myself credit for that. Although I do need to correct something I said a moment ago. I said Roberto could 2-hit KO a Groudon. It's going to be very difficult with the Assault Vest. And of course, that Omega Barrier Ancient trait means it's not even like there's going to be a Field Blower coming down to get rid of it. Field Blower will not get rid of that.
No. And we do see the 4th energy off the Sycamore there, so that's going to give him, the ability to start the knockout train here. You are going to finally see a trade. But it's only going to be one, because he's taking out one Zoroark in the meantime, so he can get a maximum of 1 trade off. And again, using Bloodthirsty Eyes from Roberto's side at this point, not really going to be relevant. The Primal Groudon's already active, so we're just going to kind of see he's going to hope to get the energy, try to set up this 2, maybe even 3 shot like you were mentioning, because he's got so few bench. It's gonna be the next couple of turns should really have a lot of action from the both players.
I agree with that one entirely. Now, actually, I want to talk about that strong energy on Alex's side of the field. That's huge, because with no Stadium in play to discard, Primal Groudon hits 100, doesn't KO a Zoroark. You add in a strong energy, pop it up to 120, all of a sudden that is getting a KO, which means Alex is not digging for that Stadium like he would have to be against a Zoroark if he didn't have the strong energy. Obviously against a Lycanroc he still will, but it just makes life a little bit easier. And after all that work from Roberto, the free double colorless energy, the computer search to grab that 3rd one, after all of that, he's up by 1 prize of a much worse board state. This is what Primal Groudon does to you, and it's intimidating. If you don't have a deck that can beat Primal Groudon, you end up in this position of, well, what do I do now? What am I supposed to do?
Right. You don't have a lot of options. It'll be interesting here. You can even set up the Regirock with some energies there. Sure, the Scramble Switch is in the discard pile, but he does still have 2 Puzzle of Time left. Lycanroc does hit the board here, so we're going to see some damage from Roberto onto that Groudon, but let's see how that's...
He popped a double colorless on there. It's now gone
into the deck on the top.
I'm slightly confused. There we go. Oh, okay. I think he was just using the trade. I think he was being slightly preemptive with it, but he's got it now.
Right.
So he gets the damage on, but the problem is he can only use Dangerous Rogue GX, which is doing 80 damage. That's not an impressive amount of damage for your once per game GX attack.
Well, he does have the 3 energy, so he gets to at least Claw Slash. So he's got that special energy on there, so we're going to see about 100 damage is what we're going to see onto that Groudon with the Choice Band and the Assault Vest coming into play. But here we go. At this point, the Zoroark is going to be coming back up. He's going to take it out with his Groudon back up. He used the Oricorio to be able to use as a free retreat, putting himself at 2 prizes. So right here, he's 1 turn away from being able to just take game 1.
Yeah, he's going to need a stadium, but as long as he gets that stadium, and he's lost a couple, he has had to discard a few, but even then it's only a 2-hit KO. You're right, it was a claw slash, my apologies on that one. But you're right, it's very, very difficult here for Roberto, but he has still got a bit of an opening. Alex needs that stadium. He played one turn one, I know he discarded one, and I believe he might have had to discard a second one, which does put him down to only one stadium left, excluding Puzzle of Time, which he's only got a maximum 2 of those remaining as well.
Now, I do see Karina in his hand, and I do see a Puzzle of Time.
Oh,
so as long as he doesn't have it in his prizes, his other puzzle, it looks like that would be, he should be able to access whatever he needs next turn to be able to seal that game right then, and just be able to take game one.
Yeah,
let's see what Roberto is able to do to maybe try to put a little bit of a stop.
I mean, a chorus of 5 is not a great start, but it's actually really good. You know, it's something. It's some cards. Now, an N would be better here. Alex, like you say, he's got the Karina and he's got the Puzzle of Time. Karina allows you to search for a fighting Pokemon and an item, which, as you predicted, and I agree with you on this one, it's going to be the second Puzzle of Time. Roberto here, I mean, to be honest, it's not really about what Roberto does here. He could retreat into the Tapu Lele if he wishes. That would do a decent amount of damage. If Alex has the stadium, he wins next turn. If he doesn't have the stadium, it's a 2-hit KO on either the Tapu Lele or the Lichen Rock. So if I was Roberto here, I'd be quite tempted to just attack with a Lichen Rock. If he doesn't get the stadium, then you can retreat the Lichen Rock. Then you can hit with a Lele the following turn. And you hope at that point Alex doesn't have something like his Guzma. Because unfortunately, it's gotten to that stage in the game where Alex is ahead to the point where it doesn't really matter what Roberto does anymore. This game is all about whether Alex can close it out, and if he can't close it out, that opens the door for Roberto to come in and win it, but it's very much on Alex this game at the moment.
Absolutely. I would definitely agree with that there. With Roberto, I mean, having a double colors on the Lele, it'll just be, it's actually only 30 damage short of knocking out that Primal Groudon, even with the Assault Vest, just because it's got so many energy and everything tanked onto it as it is. But with just 2 prizes there, like you said, it's all on Alex to be able to seal this up. But we are at least going to see the Bloodthirsty Eyes, so looks like he's going for a little bit of a different tactic. I think he's worried too much that Alex may have that stadium, so he's trying to slow it down to basically set him up so that he can try to steal the win from Alex in a different way.
I like that. I think that's a good play. The issue is going to be he needs to KO the Groudon.
Right.
And he can't do that without a second Bloodthirsty Eyes, which is going to take time to set up. So instead, he just KOs the Regirock, and I like this play. He's basically saying to Alex, I can keep putting energy on my Tapu Lele. You've got this turn to get a stadium, and if you don't get a stadium this turn, then I've got the Tapu Lele ready for next turn.
Right. And, you know, at best, he can always stall for 1 turn with the Oricorio active, being that Roberto's still at 2 prizes. So he does have a little bit of options, a little bit of time here. But if I'm correct, and I see that there's another Puzzle of Time in Alex's hand, there should be a couple different outs that can give him a way to, you know, take up this victory. But we'll see.
It doesn't look like he's got the double Puzzle of Time yet. Now, he does have a VS Seeker in his hand, which he could use for Karina for the second Puzzle of Time next turn.
Right.
But as it stands at the moment, he doesn't have all that much. The one saving grace he does have is there's no Rockruff on Roberto's side of the field, which means there can't be a Guzma bringing Primal Groudon in the active. So as it stands at the moment, Roberto can KO the Oricorio, go down to 1 prize, but that still gives Alex 1 more turn to get that stadium to pull out the win. And I think, you know, when you said stalling for 1 turn with the Oricorio, it looks like that is exactly what's happening.
Right, so looks like he's just going to do what he needs to do to be able to put those 3 resources together, find the win condition, play to your outs for whatever you need, and try to solidify it. You know, we would have to, you'd want to see an N from Roberto's side. You know, when your opponent plays a Karina on a turn, grabbing a Puzzle of Time, you know, that kind of telegraphs to you, well, either he has the other puzzle ready, or he's going to be able to find a way to get it next turn. You kind of know what your opponent has to do to be able to win the game. So Roberto's really only hope here, besides finding some miracle play, is going to be to try to take those resources out of Alex's hands for him.
I think that's an excellent point. I mean, if your opponent grabs a single puzzle and then doesn't use it, then either they've got a way to get the other one next turn, and in a Karina deck you know they do, or it's just a massive, massive bluff,
right,
and you want your opponent to end you. most people don't want to be end to a 2-card hand. And Roberto here, he sees this, he plays the end. He's got to play the end. He knew that Alex had the double puzzle ready this turn. And, Corinna strong energy. It's not what he needs. He's got 2 strong energy already, but without a stadium, that means he's only hitting 160 with Primal Groudon. That's not even enough to KO a Tapu Lele, and he doesn't actually top deck anything. It's a Primal Groudon, which means he's gonna, well, depends what he can get from this Corinna, but at the moment, he's not got what he needs. He's not got the KO here. If he's able to get some kind of way to do another 40 damage, or a way to do 10 more damage and grab that Tapu Lele off the bench, but it looks like he might actually be grabbing a Robo substitute just to buy a turn.
I mean, this is going to be a little bit bold here, but the only things that I can truly see working at this point is he's got to stall for that turn with the Robo Sub or something like that, or maybe the other Groudon possibly, and he's got to use that Mega Turbo top decked into something like Sycamore to get him multiple cards next turn to draw into some sort of crazy combination, retreat the Groudon this turn, power it up again next turn with something like Mega Turbo. There's just that's the kind of situation Alex has been in. Crazy that he went from total board control to putting himself in a position where he's really going to have to frantically search to be able to pull this win off.
It was that 4th energy. Everything was going so well. I'm sitting here talking about he's had the perfect start. It's going so well. And he didn't get that 4th energy. And it took so long that Roberto here is able to go. And, I mean, can you really manually retreat the Primal... well, evidently, apparently you can. I mean, he's got Mega Turbo. Maybe he can play a Mega Turbo next turn, but... I mean, now he's only got 2 energy, so now he doesn't need the stadium. He needs a stadium and 2 energy. And at this stage, I'm looking at Roberto's side of the field and thinking, actually, I think Roberto's got this. And it was several turns. It wasn't even one. It was several turns. And he just had to feed him Wobbuffet. Oh, just KO Wobbuffet. But it was like 3 or 4 turns where it was just KO a Wobbuffet. They add up.
Right. After a while, a few of them, plus your Choreo, even though they're non-EX and they're 1 prize at a time, clearly it got him into a position where he's really kind of just trying to lock the game up for himself now. But Alex is holding on to the VS Seeker for next turn. We're going to be having to look for some crazy card combinations, puzzles to get back the Floatstone. I mean, it's really going to have to be a lot of things coming together in 1 turn for Alex to be able to pull it off. I don't think Roberto really has an out to win this turn because of the lack of Rockruff on the bench. I don't think there's a way to do enough damage to that Groudon there to be able to take it out.
No, I mean, Alex has been, one thing he's done brilliantly this game, and I've been watching all game, because I find a lot of players forget about Dangerous Rogue, because Silvally has the same effective GX attack, and I've seen so many games where people forget and get hit with a big one-hit KO. Alex is not doing that. If you see every point during the game, his bench has been really carefully controlled to make sure that there is not going to be a Dangerous Rogue GX coming in. Brilliant play from him, and like you say, he can Dangerous Rogue for 80, well, that's not going to do much good. He can Claw Slash for 140, even with a strong energy, that wouldn't get the KO, and he doesn't even play any strong energy anyway. So, Alex has got a turn, but like you say, well, he needs energy, Mega Turbo, Stadium, Floatstone.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's only 1 Floatstone in the deck, so he would actually need double puzzle of time to get back the Floatstone that's in his discard pile. Like, he needs a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it is possible. And, I mean, you said yourself he wants to play a supporter here just to draw a lot of cards, and he agrees with you. Grabs that Professor Sycamore, getting a new hand of 7 cards. He's got a puzzle and a strong energy.
Another puzzle. Nope.
Nothing.
Nope, it's not enough. We're going to see go into the next game. Roberto takes the first game from the series. You go from a commanding board state, like you said, a few turns, chipping away at things like Wobbuffet. Alex actually flipping over his prizes, showing a Robo-Sub in there, really kind of just a crazy way. Didn't really expect it to go that way at all, but it can show you how incredible those Zoroark cards really are. There's a reason a lot of people are playing it.
That's a very good reason indeed. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, there were 2 turning points in that game. There was Alex missing that 4th energy for several turns, but it was also the stadiums. He lost 3 of his Tropical Beach early in the game. 1 played, 2 discarded. And Groudon really needs to have that Tropical Beach in play in order to discard it and then get 200 damage. That's the key for Primal Groudon here.
Yep.
And as soon as you miss that energy, you can still KO a Zoroark. but you can't one-hit KO a Lycanroc, and that gives your opponent time. We said at the beginning, if you give your opponent time and you've got a Wobbuffet in the active, nobody really cares. You're not getting set up. But if you give your opponent time to set up when you don't have a Wobbuffet in the active, you see a game like we just saw, and all of a sudden, Roberto takes a game, which even 5 or 6 turns into the game, that looked improbable.
Absolutely. You know, Roberto really did play his outs on that one, took advantage of the not having the fighting weakness on the Lycanroc, getting the basic fighting down early like you were mentioning, really trying to make sure that he had the pressure going. This game, he's going to be hoping to draw a little bit quicker, so that way he can try to outpace the Groudon. But again, with the Wobbuffets, it's just going to make it difficult. So seeing what Alex flips over as his first starting Pokemon is going to be a really big impact also on how this plays.
Yeah, if he starts with his Buneri or his Oricorio, and
that 7th card Wobbuffet. Whoa.
That was such a clutch 7th card, because we're looking like it's going to be the Oricorio. He's going to be forced to start the Oricorio. This is going to change everything, Wobbuffet. Okay, analysis over. So we are off in round 2. Alex gets turn 1 because he did lose the first game. He gets a choice. You choose to go first. And here he's got the Corinna, so, I mean, probably it's going to be Groudon Professor's Letter, you'd imagine, unless he's got the energy already. It's a Versus Seeker, so it may well be that he's saving for that Corinna next turn. Yeah. If he gets, I mean, really Tropical Beach energy. Like we said, that's the perfect start. Wobbuffet on the active, Groudon with an energy on the bench, Tropical Beach, let's go.
And it looks like he is going to be able to, he does have the energy. He even has a second Wobbuffet he took off the top. So it looks like he's going to be at a pretty good opening. You know, and interestingly enough, you see immediately the pace of play has changed, though, from Alex moving at a much quicker speed. Groudon is used to taking the first game of the series and then being able to control how the rest of the game goes from there, with cards like Wobbuffet, cards like Robo Substitute, and everything else. When they have to lose game 1 and they're having to play for behind and play quicker with this deck that's meant to set up, it really makes it very difficult. I'd say it's a bold comment, but I really don't think we're going to see 3 full games. We're either going to see Roberto Lazada take the series the way it is, or we could see a tie if Alex can pull this game off in a fast enough manner.
Yeah, Groudon is not great in a sudden death situation. Now, we did see there, we actually benched the Execute just so we could have the bench Pokemon, which you need for Zoroark. And you saw Roberto there, he was thinking about attaching that double colourless energy. He chose not to, and that's got to be the play. He saw the Zerosic from Alex, he saw the enhanced hammer, and Roberto knows he's playing 4 double colourless 2 fighting energy. He knows his options are very limited, and there's no way he's going to attack this turn unless he really wants to use a Paralysing Gaze on a Wobbuffet that isn't going to attack or retreat anyway, which I don't think will be the cleverest play ever. So not attaching a double colourless, you know, he wanted to save it because he was playing a supporter, but it had to be the play.
Yep, and here we do see that Via Seeker he got last turn coming into play. You're seeing him put 2 fighting energies on the top, so that's telegraphing Professor's Letter right as it is. Probably see the Primal Groudon if he doesn't already have it. So we get to see, you know, Mega Evolution, another attached energy. Probably the only other thing it would want would be the second Groudon at this point, just to try to get the second one early on the bench. But, you know, overall, again, looking to be a pretty good start. As long as he doesn't miss some of those crucial energies like he did last game, it's going to be an interesting game.
Yeah, the Primal Evolution there, ending his turn. And I did call the Professor's Letter turn 1, but of course he had the strong energy. He didn't need it. Turn 2, he doesn't have the energy, and that's where Professor's Letter comes in. Alex, it's got to be playing on his mind. You know he's frustrated at the result of that first game. He was so in command, and Alex is thinking at the end of that game, if I'd have got that energy like a turn or 2 earlier, I win that game. So that's playing on his mind, so for him, it's going to be, and you sometimes see players in this situation play slightly more aggressively, running through their deck slightly faster to make sure that they get those energy. So for Roberto here, it's going to be, can he get a 5th bench Pokemon, double colourless energy, Zoroark? Lot to ask when your ability locked, but if he can start KOing the Wobbuffet, because Roberto's going to be thinking, what's in game 1?
Yep, so we're definitely, you know, if it works in one game, you usually see players try to commit the same strategy again, because why change something if it works so well the first time? So, but we do at least see the end there coming from Roberto, so that's going to put Alex on a new hand, stop the Karina chain if he did have more and everything there, puts one of the energies that he had back from the Professor's Letter. Well, let's see. Could change it up a little bit how the rest of the game flows from here. We don't see any Regirock down for Alex yet, which that card is very crucial in this matchup for a couple reasons. It's a non-EX attacker that, because it's fighting, it can actually take out Zoroarks, which is really, really nice. It has the trait that Groudon does as well, so it's something that you can attach to and scramble switch off of. But something that would have really helped him last game that also does, the first attack for Fighting Energy lets you pull 2 stadiums out of your discard pile and put them into your hand. So having it knocked out early last game, or right in that middle of the game, was at a perfect moment because it could have set up Alex for the game and everything as well. So not having it here this game could make a little bit of a difference as time goes on.
Yeah, and we saw in that last game, it was a lack of Tropical Beach which lost Alex a game in the long run. That could have helped. Now, we do see a risky play from Roberto here, popping that double colourless on the Rock Ruff. If Alex has got a way to get rid of it, and he plays several... Oh, he had the Zerosic, but I believe that was before the end got played. But Alex is going to be going after that. He knows that that Lycan Rock can be a decent attacker. Bloodthirsty... Dangerous Rogue GX will get one-hit KOs. Oh, there we go. Corinna, just like we've been saying, making everything else moot. Enhanced time to get rid of the energy. And Regirock, as you so rightly pointed out, such a key Pokemon in this matchup, because for a variety of reasons.
We actually see Alex bench his Robosub and immediately discard it. He knows that in this matchup with Bloodthirsty Eyes being a huge key factor in trade and everything else, he doesn't ever really want to use that Robosub except in some very unique situations. So he said, I don't want to draw it again. I want to get an extra card off this Tropical Beach. Let's just get rid of it using the ability. Because Robosub has the, since it is an item card, at any point when it's on the bench, you can choose to discard it.
It's brilliant. I mean, it's a tiny little play that separates really good players from good players. I'm going to bench and discard the Robosub. I don't need it this turn. I don't need it this game. What I do need is an extra card from Tropical Beach. Tiny little play that a lot of players might not even think of. But actually, it makes a difference. Maybe that last card... Actually, it looked like the last card was a strong energy. And we all know how much he needs that strong energy.
Absolutely. And also you're seeing Roberto using a preemptive evolution off the Lycan Rock. So he just says, you know what? I know that I'm not going to have access to trade most of this game. I don't have a lot of draw supporters. I've got the Lycan Rock now, so I want to get it on the field because I'm probably going to attack with it at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, a Rockruff can be easily KO'd by a Groudon, Primal Groudon, when there isn't a Stadium in play, whereas a Lycan Rock can't. So it's also kind of a self-preservation thing. It's maybe he gets a Guzma, maybe, because he knows that Zoroark is not a problem. Alex wants to take out those Lycan Rock, and if I was Alex and I saw just a single Rockruff on the bench, I'd be tempted. It's like I would, but there'd definitely be some temptation there.
I can understand that. I mean, after last game, it putting such a dent in there, I would do whatever I could to be able to get it off the field. Now, we see, a play from Roberto that, let's say, I'm not sure what he drew off the Sycamore, but we saw him computer search beforehand to put that double colorless on the Zorua, and hoping to basically get the Zoroark off that Sycamore. I don't think he did. So it's going to be another double colorless that has the ability to just go down to an Enhanced Hammer or a Zerosic, but without actually getting use out of it, which is really not something you want to see.
Not at all. We did see Roberto there play the Skyfield. He's using Tapu Lele, which of course being a psychic Pokemon, you get the ability even with a Wobbuffet in the active. Problem is, like you say, he's played a Professor Sycamore, so whatever Roberto's going for here is not going to be used next turn. So we did see a paralysing gaze there. It doesn't seem like it worked. I think he was trying to stop Alex retreating into a Primal Groudon. Didn't work, unfortunately. So Alex here just keeps on keeping on. Is that free energy on the Primal Groudon?
That's 3 now, so it's not going to be able to attack this turn. I can only imagine Alex is tempted to play that Sycamore to look for an Enhance or something like that, but he decided to say, I'll wait a little bit. I don't need to attack this turn. I can leave that DC there one more turn. I've got another Wobbuffet on the bench if he does get the Zoroark. But here we do see that big Colress from Roberto. The last game, he only got 5 cards off of it. This game, definitely doing a lot better. 7 Pokemon just on his own. 10 cards overall from a Colress. I gotta say, with Skyfield being in the format and so many decks playing it, Colress is a card we're probably going to see a lot of this weekend, and you can just make some crazy plays out of it, getting these massive hands, all kinds of resources, and especially when you add trade on top of it. I mean, you can see players just sitting there with 15, 20 card hands, which before Zoroark and before Colress and Skyfield were a thing, you really never saw that kind of thing.
No, I mean, Chorus for 16 is one of those just ridiculous plays, which is possible. Like you say, you can Chorus for 16, then trade 2, 3, 4 times. I do find the Skyfield play interesting for Roberto. It's a huge risk-reward card, because on the one hand, it means that you have a greater number of Pokemon in play, and Zoroark's damage is dependent on the number of Pokemon you have in play. On the other hand, it's a stadium. It means that Alex can do 200 with Primal Groudon without having to use one of his own Tropical Beach, and we saw he's had to discard some here and there. The one good thing for Roberto is he put it in play when Did he just field blow his own?
I believe he
Skyfield?
did. I believe he just field blowed his own Skyfield, so that way he'd take away the advantage that you were just talking about. So he was able to basically just say, hey, I'm going to knock out one of your beaches, and I'm going to get rid of some of these pesky Pokemon on my bench I don't want, like the Execute and the Oricorio.
The sequencing there was a thing of absolute beauty. Rather than field blowing the Tropical Beach, you replace the Tropical Beach with Skyfield, do what you want to do, and advance your bench, and then you field blower your own Skyfield, discarding the Pokemon you don't want on your bench, and then you've taken away your opponent's stadium while giving yourself a big advantage. So that risk-reward play I said about, take that away. It wasn't a risk-reward play. It was just a really good play, which has put him in a good position and done nothing for Alex as the Paralyzing Gaze finally hits, and they turned Wobbuffet in the wrong direction. Paralyzed is to the right.
Paralyzed to the right. Interesting. I always remember it because in the VGC, Paralyzed's acronym is PRZ, so you know to the right because of the R. And then with the sleep, it's ASL, and you turn it to the left. Something that's always helped me remember. Otherwise, never would have.
See, I just go sleep, L comes up first. Paralyzed, R comes up first.
Right.
And we see another Paralyzing Gaze, and now they do turn it to the right. Maybe they heard us. Maybe they didn't. Either way, love it.
Now, this is the scariest part for Groudon. You're looking for the Guzma. You're looking for the Lysander. Well, Guzma at this point, they've been replaced by all the Lysander have been replaced by Guzmas. But you put yourself in this awkward deadlock position. Roberto doesn't want to come up with Lycanroc and attack a Wobbuffet. That just gives him a free knockout on the Groudon. Or, excuse me, a free knockout with the Groudon. So if Alex can actually find that Guzma, he's able to just pull up the Lycanroc, leave Roberto with a field of Zorua, DC, and basic fighting there, but there's actually a lot of opportunity right now for Alex to take advantage. We've got 2 double colorless on the board with multiple Enhanced Hammers and 0-6 still in deck. There's really a lot of hope here for Alex in different ways that he could go about this next couple turns.
There absolutely is, and he's got the Groudon. I would like to see a second, like you say, a second one there, especially with Scramble Switch in the format, would be just absolutely brilliant for him. As it stands at the moment, if he can bring up and take a KO on the active Zorua while taking the double colorless away from the Lycanroc on the bench, really kind of getting rid of all that energy, I love it. One thing I do notice, Roberto's got a fighting energy on each of his Rockruff or Lycanroc at the moment, which is actually really crucial, and he gets another Paralyzing Gaze, which is lovely, because it means now Alex has got to use something like a Guzma to get out the active, rather than just playing a Float Stone, so instead he just goes for a Focus Sash, and it's going to go onto the Regirock, just to guarantee that there will be no one-hit KO against Regirock.
Which is really kind of incredible because, like I mentioned, you know, Zoroark being fighting weak, Regirock already having a strong energy. One more strong means he doesn't even have to flip for the second attack. The second attack, I believe it's 80 damage. Flip a coin. If head, you do an additional 40.
That's correct.
And so with 2 strong energies, not even needing to worry about the flip whatsoever if he's able to pull that second one off.
I mean, one of my very, very favourite decks in Expanded is Quad Regirock. I've played that. I top-decked that. I top-decked a regional championship with Quad Regirock once. It was a lot of fun. So it's a card that's very, very close to my heart. And it's a bit sad to see him playing just a supporting role here, but he does it so well. And here we go, the Enhanced Hammer with the KO, getting all the double colourless off the field while going up by a prize and basically saying, what do you got? Okay, with a double colours, you're going to hit 110 minus the Assault Vest.
Right, and the best part was he didn't even have to waste the Stadium because he's got the strong energy on there to be able to knock out the Zoroark first of all. He even got to wait till the Zorua evolved, so he took an extra prize card. Didn't just take that one prize off the Zorua, and he just got the Enhanced right off the top when he needed to. So things kind of worked out for that in that turn for Alex.
It's going to be interesting, the double colourless on Roberto's side of the field here. Because Alex, assuming... Well, Roberto here is going to be able to do, I believe, 100 when you take into account the two tools. So, with all that borne in mind, Alex should then, with a Stadium, get a one-hit KO on the Lycanroc. But then Roberto's got to find another double colourless. If he can find a double colourless Lycanroc, he actually still won't be getting a KO because of the Assault Vest.
Right.
Assault Vest is so good in this matchup.
Absolutely. It's turning it into a 3-shot knockout. This one Primal Groudon literally has the ability to take 6 prizes before it goes down, and Alex is actually even playing a copy of one potion. Not max potion, not super potion, just good old-fashioned potion, heal 30 off, so if he's worried that he can have some extra damage modifiers or something like that, take an extra 30 off, make it even harder for him to make that 2-hit knockout. And then at that point, that one Primal Groudon will be able to sweep. Regirock to finish up if you need to. This is actually, it's a pretty nice Getsus. Being able to put back the Scramble Switch is definitely going to be something good.
Yeah, because that Regirock could have come up there, started putting a bit of pressure on. Regirock really struggles to KO Lycanroc in one hit. Having said that, the Focus Sash, and remember that Omega Barrier means that there will be no Field Blower, Startling Megaphone, whatever, so it guarantees you have 2 turns worth of Regirock. Regirock can 2-hit KO Lycanroc, but then again, Regirock just doesn't have the HP. I love the ability, I love the Ancient Trait on Regirock, I love the typing, but it doesn't have the HP. That's what makes Primal Groudon so much better most of the time. Good news is, it looks like Alex popped that Tropical Beach in play, and now this is where it gets scary for Roberto, because now Alex can use that Regirock to KO a Zoroark and win the game, whereas Roberto, maybe even if he KOs a Primal Groudon, which is going to be extremely difficult, that Regirock is in position to start winning.
Right. Definitely giving Alex a couple different options, more than just one, to be able to take the second game and everything here. But it's not over yet for Roberto. We don't want to call it just yet, but definitely he's really got a good spot and everything for himself now. 2 prizes left, fully powered Primal Groudon, ability to take out this Zero and go down to even 1 prize. Definitely quite a few different ways for him to be able to lock this series up here and be able to finish it off for himself.
I mean, there is still a chance for Roberto. Let's say Roberto gets a Skyfield, and then he plays a whole bunch of Pokemon down, evolves into Zoroark, puts double colours. He can KO the Primal Groudon. Mm-hmm. The question is, would Alex then have the necessary resources to take a return KO with his Regirock? That's going to be quite a difficult thing to do. Maybe, and let's face it, there's no Wobbuffet in the active, so trade is on the board right now.
I can't remember. The Regirock, does it need 3 or 4 energy to attack?
I want to say 4 energy. That's something we're going to check very quickly. But as it stands at the moment, there is still a chance. Having said that, you're still in a situation here where Roberto, it's not like he's got the KO on this Primal Groudon. It's going to take a lot of damage. It's going to take a lot here. Yeah, it was 4 energy, as I thought. It is fighting, colourless. I didn't want to be that guy that sat here and said, oh, I love Regirock, it's my favourite deck, and then forgot the energy cost. So even though I was pretty sure it was 4, I'm like, I'm going to look this up, because I don't want to look that silly on stream. Not in the first round with streaming. Wait a few rounds before I look too silly.
Exactly. Come on, give us at least a little bit of slack before we get there.
Yeah.
But here's that Skyfield that you were just mentioning, so a couple trades could pull off enough damage, but he's got several double colors in the discard pile. I believe he's actually at 3 double colors in the discard pile right now.
I think he played a special charge a couple of turns ago. There was a turn where we couldn't see exactly what was going on, but there were 2 double colorless that he put on top of his discard. I think he played a special charge, which does put 2 of them back in his deck, which will increase the odds of him hitting it. Now, of course, we've got to build in that Assault Vest into play, so essentially we're talking 9 bench Pokemon. We've got 9 Pokemon in total, which he doesn't have.
Right. He would need to fill it up. He would need to fill it up or get a choice band to be able to replace one of them. There's very limited options to be able to actually take this knockout because of the Assault Vest putting a hindrance on him.
Yeah, and we do see the non-GX coming in, but of course that's not going to do all that much because there's not much of a bench of Primal Groudon. Oh, there we go. That's huge because now he's got 8 bench Pokemon, which means 9 in total, which means he's hitting 180. Take it down to 140 with the Assault Vest, plus 100 already on the Primal Groudon is exactly what he needs to KO. Now this is big. Alex, if he gets 2 energy on that Regirock, we still think he's going to win, but that's going to take a couple of turns. So put the Wobbuffet in the active, let Roberto take the KO. We know there is no Guzma coming down onto the Regirock because Regirock's got that beautiful Omega Barrier Ancient Trait. That was a great play for Roberto. That was a big turn.
Absolutely.
He got a lot that. I mean, we're sitting there going, oh, he needs all these things. He got every single one of them.
Between trade and using Schemanske good old setup ability, good old reliable setup, definitely made sure to get use of all the cards, got what he needed to be able to put it in. Alex, all he's really able to do is say, I'm at least going to get rid of your Skyfield, make you put a couple new Pokemon and everything on the board if you want to put it down, make you bump my own Tropical Beach. And he puts himself in a position where even if Roberto decides to take an N and a knockout, he's got his own beach in play, draws right back up to 7, puts up another Wobbuffet on the board, and with Roberto not having access to trade due to Bide Barricade, that end to one really going to do damage to himself as well.
And let's not forget, I need to really make this clear, there's no one-hit KO on Regirock. Focus Sash means there's no one-hit KO. And thank goodness for that Tropical Beach, because I'm pretty sure Alex's hand was Professor Sycamore, Professor Sycamore, Professor Sycamore, Bunnery.
Yeah, he didn't have a lot of options there to be able to
That's not a great hand.
He does have the other energy already, it looks like, for the next turn. So, I mean, in his current state, if he takes out the knockout on the Wobbuffet without playing an N or anything like that, all Alex really has to do is take a knockout. But we do see the N hit the board. Alex goes down to 2 cards. If he finds an energy just off those 2, and it's just a Zoroark still active, that's all he's going to be able to need. Won't need to flip a heads. 120 multiplied by weakness, more than enough to knock out that Zoroark GX.
Absolutely. I mean, if I'm Roberto here, I really want to find a Lycanroc double colorless. I don't want to attack with a Zoroark. I don't want to leave that Zoroark in the active.
Now, we do see 2 cards that are not going to be too helpful for Alex, so we're probably going to see the other Wobbuffet come back next turn. I can only imagine that we'll see that just so that way he can beach up to a new hand. Hope that Roberto didn't find another N off of his 3-card N, plus the prize that he'll be drawing this turn. So, not a whole lot of time left for Alex. Again, kind of like the last game. Alex in a commanding position, Roberto making a couple clutch plays, taking advantage in the turns that he needs to be able to put Alex in the pressured situation, using N at the right time. I think it's really the best scenario, and it could work twice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super impressed by Roberto's play here. This is an intimidating matchup. If you're playing Zoroark with Golisopod, then fine, first impression gets a one-hit KO on Primal Groudon. It's right, shall we say, in your favour. When you're not playing Golisopod with Zoroark, that makes Groudon a super intimidating deck. And he found it! I love that play, because now he's saying, okay, now you need to have the energy and the Guzma. Now he does get the energy and a Versus Seeker off of the Tropical Beach. Oh, Skyfield end play here would be, and he's got it.
He's got exactly what he needs. He will literally have to see, Alex will have to see the Guzma and the energy off 2 cards plus 1 off the top. I don't believe there's any other card combination that could win in the game. None of the basic Groudons would do enough, even with a Scramble Switch, to knock out Lycanroc. Escape Rope, he could bring up a Bunnelby or a Zoroark. There's really just not a lot of cards in Alex's deck. I guess that Enhance Hammer could maybe slow it down, but the good thing is, because of the Focus Sash, he does get 2 turns, so, there's a couple different ways that this could go. Sycamore from Alex gives him resources next turn, so let's see how the last final turns play out. I mean, this really is coming down to be a crazy nail-biter between these two of what seemed to be a pretty one-sided game.
It really did. Both games, and we fell for it both games. I think here, yeah, he plays a Sycamore. What he really wants is the energy. He's got the Guzma, but he needs the energy. If he's Oh my goodness. It's not the end of the world yet. He can still get the energy next turn, but really he wants energy this turn, Guzma next turn. He does not want Guzma this turn with no energy. This is the wrong way round.
Right.
He's still got a turn, but that was the wrong way round. It does look like... Has he got a double puzzle of time?
Oh, he used Regirock's ability to be able to... Regirock's, attack for 1 energy, getting the 2 stadiums out of the discard pile, so he does at least get to put 2 Tropical Beaches back. Don't know that it's going to be that relevant at this point of the game, but what is nice is that if the Lycanroc attacks into Regirock and does enough damage to knock it out, quote-unquote, it will discard the Focus Sash, allow him to put Floatstone down, and go into another Pokemon, maybe a Groudon or something, just to hopefully again stall for 1 more turn while he's looking for that combination to seal the game. But it actually would be interesting if we see from Roberto's side, if he actually does not enough damage to knock it out, maybe 40 or 50 somehow with, I'm actually not even sure what he would use to do that small amount of damage. But if he finds a way to be able to do it, maybe with the Wonder Tag or something like that, to be able to not actually knock it out, he can lock the Focus Sash into play, which is theoretically going to lock in the Regirock too.
Yeah, I mean, that is an excellent plan. I was just looking at Dangerous Rogue, but Alex doesn't even have any bench Pokemon, so he can't even do that. It's just... Oh, it's ridiculous, and it looks like Roberto might even be going for another N here, because he saw that the Regirock used, and... But see, even here, I don't think Tropical Beach does very much for Alex here, because the thing is, if Roberto, like you say, if Roberto gets some damage on the Regirock this turn, it means he's basically got the win next turn, so Alex can't just use Tropical Beach and then just wait for the next turn. There will be no next turn.
Right.
Or if he top decks a Puzzle of Time, he's got the Versus Seeker, but there's no Guzma in his there's no Guzma in his discard. He only plays one. He only plays one Guzma, and we saw him top deck it, so we know he doesn't have it in hand in the discard. So no, that's not actually good enough.
Now, what's interesting though, Roberto, he trades right off of his end of one. He trades, finds the double colorless in order to knock it out.
He's got it.
I don't think that there's really anything else that he can pull off here. He does have the VS Seeker, but I'm not really sure that there's going to be an out for him here.
I think that literally was it. I mean, because the thing is, Roberto's down to one prize. So, I mean, maybe Alex gets a Groudon and then Guzma's put a Groudon in the active. But then even if you do that, what are you doing? It's not like you're going to be able to get that Groudon out the active very easily.
Very few sequence of events. I think maybe a Sycamore here. Again, try to hit that float stone to get it out since it can't be dragged back up. But you know what would actually be really interesting? The Red Rock only has 10 damage left. We could actually even see Roberto use Puzzle of Time to put his Oricorio back and actually take it up off the bench to be able to take his last prize. Yeah. So there's a couple different ways that Roberto can finish this game, even if Alex can get that Regirock out of the active.
And what we've seen here is Alex just being punished for playing Pokemon that use 4 energy. This is the second game in a row where he's had free energy on a Pokemon. He's been ready to ride out the game, and he just hasn't had the energy. He had the Guzma, but he didn't have an energy with which to use the Guzma and take the KO. So it's just such an awkward position. And this is one of the problems. Like I say, I played a lot of Regirock. I played Groudon occasionally. I'm more of a Regirock dude. And this is one of the problems I found with Regirock. You need to get those 4 energy on there. And it sometimes, in some games, can be extremely difficult. And then you end up playing Scramble Switch, and a great play is Puzzle of Time for Scramble Switch. You get it kind of 3 times in your game. But that's not a good... It's still not good enough if you don't have the energy to start with. So, we do see the Guzma energy off the Sycamore, but it's too late.
Yep. Unfortunately, there's just nothing he could really pull off at this point. He can't get out of the active. He could technically retreat into something, but that's going to be the shake. Roberto Lazada starting off 2-0 at Dallas Regionals, the largest Masters TCG event to date in terms of regional championships. Gotta feel pretty good, taking over a matchup that, on paper, seems pretty unfavorable.
It was one of those games. He was never going to be in control. It was never going to be a game that was dictated by him. That particular matchup is always going to be dictated by the Groudon player, unless they start something like Buneary or Oricorio, which didn't happen. So it really is down to they're going to play the Wobbuffet, they're going to build up the energy. Roberto's play in both of those games, it was patient, it was careful. He waited, and he had turn after turn where he just basically did nothing. But he waited for those opportunities. He got the opportunities because Alex didn't have the energy or didn't have the stadium. But that's how you play against Groudon. You play patiently, and you've got to wait